notable and best-selling books, including Race Matters and, of course, Democracy Matters. His latest, though, in stores this week is called Hope on a Tightrope, Words and Wisdom. He joins us tonight from Princeton. Dr. West, it's always an honor to have you on the program, sir.
My dear brother, it is always a blessing to be on the best talk show in the country. I would say the world, but I don't understand all the world's languages, brother.
As you can tell, Dr. West is my friend, and in terms of full disclosure, let me say right quick, this book is published by Smiley Books, but we're honored to have Dr. West on the program. Doc, let me start our conversation before I get to the book by going back to the last time you were on this program. I share with you confidentially that the last time you were on at the Democratic Convention, the night that Barack Obama accepted the nomination of his party, you were on with another guest on the program, a couple of other guests, and there were parts of, not in its entirety, there were parts of Obama's acceptance speech that you had some issues with. You said so on the program that night. You made it very clear that I support Barack Obama. I want him to win. I believe he's going to win. I have campaigned for him. I will continue to campaign for him. But you went on to make some points about his speech that night that concerned you. I want to now read a passage from your new book, Hope on a Tightrope, that I think contextualizes that conversation then and what we're going to talk about tonight and get your thoughts on it. I read now from your book, Hope on a Tightrope. I'd like to see my dear brother Barack Obama in the White House. I think he's the best presidential candidate. At the same time, there are structural constraints on any president. Any politician who makes it to the level of a Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, or anybody else tends to be surrounded by spinmeisters and pundits who do not put the suffering of working and poor people at the center of their vision. I want Senator Obama to win, but I'm going to criticize him intensely when he wins. I'm a deep Democrat, and he's a liberal. They're not the same thing. I very much support him, but it's a question of principle. The plight of everyday people is paramount, close quote. I read that because, again, since that convention, I know you've been campaigning vigorously for Barack Obama. But what is it you think about what you attempted to say, critiquing him in love, that some people cannot hear as love, as accountability?
I think in part it has to do, though, brother, with it's hard for people to conceive of criticism as a species of love. So when I promised my dear brother Barack Obama that I would do a full-court press for him to make sure he gets into the White House, put in the 14 events in one day in Columbus and 16 there in Cleveland, because Ohio is a pivotal state, also connected with Florida and Virginia, that's my effort to say I'm going to do all I can because he is the best for empowering those Sly Stone called everyday people of all colors, working people, poor people, especially poor people, but also middle-class folk as well. At the same time, the criticism follows that same love, because in the end, Barack Obama is not Jesus. He's a cracked vessel. He is only as strong as we are. He inspires us. We inspire him. He is made by the campaign. The campaign is made in part by him. It's mutual. That's the way in which citizens relate to leaders in that regard. And so therefore, the critique must be based on principle so that when he does, in fact, win, and I've told the world I'm going to break dance that night. But the next morning, I'm getting up as his critic. Why? Because it's a matter of principle. He's a means to the end of empowering everyday people. He's a vehicle for the aim of empowering everyday people. I think he understands that. He understands the division of labor between myself, who has a Socratic and prophetic calling, and himself, who has a commitment to liberal governance, but I want him to have a commitment to very progressive governance. That's why I put the pressure on him, my brother.
So you think all your campaigning and that of so many others is going to pay off in a few days from now?
I hope and pray, but I would do it no matter what. I'm doing it because it's right, because it's moral, it's because it's just relative to Brother John McCain. I have great respect for my brother, but I think he would be catastrophic for this catastrophic moment we have. And I just want to make sure that my dear brother Barack Obama is not too timid in this catastrophic moment. The empire is wavering. American democracy is wobbling. We have deep decay in our culture, and we know we're near economic collapse. There's greed at the top. There's a culture of indifference when it comes to the weak and the most vulnerable. And we've got a politics of fear coming from the right, the scare tactics, and, of course, the scapegoating. It will not work. The Southern strategy is over. The right-wing reign is over. The age of Reagan is over. Conservative hegemony is over. We ought to celebrate. Now we can actually focus on working people, poor people, the masses of people in this nation, and of course the world.
What about the notion that some have raised, though, that As you know, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And if, in fact, the polls hold up, Democrats will control the reins in the White House, the House, and the Senate. You are, again, a deep Democrat. Does that concern you that the Democrats will have all the keys in Washington?
Well, no, that's fine with me, because in the end, they're only reigning, the people rule in a democracy. We have to keep them accountable. The problem has been, in part, during the age of Reagan, the Democratic Party has been too spineless. No backbone, no vision, just a stare, triangulating Republican politics and so forth and so on. That era is over. We are in a serious crisis. Keep in mind, the poor people have been in a crisis even when people were denying the crisis. And, of course, we got to keep in mind, you know, Bush refused to sign a bill for disabled children, $1.8 billion, because he couldn't find the money and said he was socializing medicine. Now the big banks are in trouble, $700 billion. Socializing financial markets, absolutely. It's the priorities. That's the kind of hypocrisy we've been dealing with. That's the kind of mendacity we've been dealing with. Thank God we think it's a new day, and Brother Barack Obama is a symbol of that. And we have to just make sure that he follows through on the substance. But the challenge right now is to get that brother in the White House.
Back to Hope on a Tightrope, the book which I've been asking you to do for years now, for this very reason. There are so many subject matters that I thought people could benefit from hearing from you on these subject matters, as opposed to a book just about race matters or just about democracy, covering a variety of topics. Let me throw a few of them at you right quick and just get you to top line what your sense is on these various issues. In no particular order, faith.
Yes, oh my God, stepping out on nothing and landing on something. And I must say that I had faith to step forward, because it was both your idea to do this thing, and thank you so very much. And of course, we both applaud the editorial genius of our dear sister Cheryl Woodruff, who came up with the title as well as helped put it together in such a marvelous way. But faith is really about that fiduciary